Geometry, Chapter 7, Section 7, Scale Drawings and Models. A scale model, or scale drawing, is an object or drawing with lengths proportional to the object it represents. Think like a map. If you look on Google Earth or Google Maps, it has pictures of the world, but they're not the same actual size as the world, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be useful. I couldn't look at Ukiah and Santa Rosa on the same map and then figure out how far apart they are. Um, so it's just a representation. Like if I was making blueprints to a house, I want to, they're usually pretty big drawings, but I don't want them to be the same size as the house because then I can't use them. The whole point of a scale drawing is that I can measure out and figure out how big is this wall supposed to be? Oh, it's supposed to be 18 feet long? Okay. I measured that by saying it was 18 inches on the page, and I know every inch on the page is 1 foot in real life. So it allows me to have a whole layout of the house without having to draw it at the actual size of the house. But I could still figure out the distances between any 2 points by using a ruler. Um, and the scale is the number that tells us the difference there. Now, one important thing is they're usually in different units. So you can have things like the model and the original, just kind of like we were doing with the similarity transformations, the original and then the model. But they can have different things, like the model could be in inches and the original could be in feet. So you just have to keep that in mind, what the units are for each one of the things, just so that you can come up with the correct results. You might have the right number, but the number has to make this the right kind of sense. So in example one, I'm going to use a scale drawing. Now, one of the difficulties I have right now is I'm showing this to you on my computer screen, and I don't have a ruler that's on my computer screen. And I'm zoomed in things. I pulled this picture out of the book. But if you were to have this book open right next to me, you would see, if you were to put a ruler between Nashville and Memphis. So let me draw a straight line there. I'll draw it out in red. So between Nashville and Memphis, I'd take a ruler and I put that line down and I measure it, and I'd find it's 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches. You have to get a ruler to do some of these problems. Now, if you don't have a nice ruler handy, like one of these or something, you can always try to print one off the internet. Just make sure it's scaled to the right side. You can also use a tape measure, like someone. If you have anyone in your family that works construction or does woodworking or something, they probably have a ruler at some point. If you can't get yourself a ruler at some point, you can't really do these problems. Though I'll tell you, this distance between the knuckle of your thumb and the tip of your finger is usually a little bit more than an inch. So you can I don't know if you can really see that there. It's a little bit more than an inch. Some people like to do it where they figure out that, like, which one of their knuckles, like this knuckle right here for me, between those two knuckles, is about an inch and a half. I'm measuring it on my ruler. I guess I should put the ruler on the other side here so you can see it with the camera. So between those two knuckles is about an inch and a half. So you just have to find some little thing and just approximate it that way if you don't have a ruler. But you know, if it gets to it and you don't have a ruler and you can't print one out, you don't have a tape measure, and like even the tape measures that you use for like cutting up cloth and stuff, you just skip the problems or just guess what the length is and do your best on it. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but a ruler makes it very doable, and you literally just stick the ruler on the picture that's in the book and measure it that way. So I had to tell you here that if I were to measure this out in a student copy of the book, it would be 1.5 inches. So, what other information do they give us here? They also tell us the scale is 0.4 inch equals 40 miles. So I'm going to write down model is in inches. The map is in miles. And the ratio or the scale factor is 0.4 inches to 40 miles. That's my scale factor. Now, if I want to try to find the actual distance between Memphis and Nashville, all I have to do is think, okay, I measured it in inches, so it should be set equal to the top there. So 0.4 inches over 40 miles equals 1.5 inches on the map um, is X number of miles. Do my cross product, 0.4x equals 1.5 times 40 is 60. Divide both sides by 0.4. 60 divided by 0.4, and you get yourself x equals 150 miles. So it is 150 miles from Nashville to Memphis. So again, if you don't have a ruler, you just can't do these problems. But see if you can figure something out, or maybe take a guess on how many inches, and just do practice setting up the proportion, and just know that when I read the answers off, your answer is probably not going to match. But even just practicing and setting up a proportion is good practice.